upset you, because different translations will interpret Greek words. Some Greek words have multiple meanings, okay? So various translations will choose one English word or two over another. Okay, now, how about his descriptions for the earthly? What do you put the earthly wisdom?
Boastful. Jealous.
Ah. That's another one. Boastful,
Ambitious.
jealous,
Selfish
Envy.
ambition.
self, what?
Selfish ambition.
Selfish ambition,
Yes.
Vindictive.
proud.
Oh, yeah.
Is that in your translation? I'm saying in your translation, what are sensual?
Devilish.
False to the truth.
Wise.
I got love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law, and those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passion and its desires. Wrong?
Yeah, it's not in this small section.
Okay.
Okay, foul practices, they bring about jealousy, disorder is another one. Selfish ambition we have, someone said ambitious, okay? Now,
I have a question.
yeah,
Is that phrase you use as earthly wisdom really mean sinful activities? Because wisdom doesn't seem to be a negative word. And it doesn't seem to be that this list of things really are evidence of wisdom.
okay, so the question is this an appropriate category? Because wisdom,
Wisdom is a positive word,
It's a-
or it's neutral, but it indicates values or gifts that we possess that maybe not necessarily. I mean, it's not opposed to true wisdom. Wisdom in itself is a neutral word.
what you have to understand, we're trying to look at it within the context of this letter. He introduced in the first chapter a certain group of teachers that are false teachers, okay? He hinted in the second chapter about their boastfulness or the pride and so on, that they are coming into the Christian community. They're attracting attention, these false teachers and so on. They're projecting like they have a higher wisdom. Don't forget, one of the first great heresies in the early church was Gnosticism, who said they had a higher wisdom than anyone else. Okay? So when I use this category, it's taken from one of the translations from this text for the category, not a general category of earthly wisdom, but a category of teachers that are corrupting Christian communities, and some of the characteristics that he has indicated here, that sinful characteristics that they are leaving behind. So I'm comparing it, not in a general sense, but in the sense of the context of this reading. Dick?
The New Jerusalem heading is real wisdom and its opposite.
Real wisdom and its opposite.
Yeah, false wisdom.
Yeah.
False.
Okay, true wisdom and...
Wisdom from above to false wisdom on earth.
Okay, now. Okay, let's put false. Maybe that'll make you happier. Okay, all right, so, now, and the other thing is, we can put in, with true wisdom, the phrase that he uses, that is wisdom from above, and earthly wisdom, or, okay, Dick, will you use yours? The opposite. Okay? So, teachers that have come in posing as wise men. The wisdom from above is something that is a gift of the Spirit. It promotes peace and harmony. It's a genuine, charismatic teacher will be recognized by the conformity of his life to the teaching of Christ. Truly wise practitioner. Someone who practices what he teaches and teaches what he practices. With yesterday's anniversary, one example pops into my mind right away. Huh? Pope Francis. Pope Francis. Practice what he preaches and preaches what he practices. Okay? I understand that someone sent him a great big Mercedes-Benz touring car to use. And no, he uses a Ford Focus instead.
I bought a used Porsche.
Well, that was before, you know. Pope Francis. There is a term that's found here. Let's see where. There's a couple of these terms that we have to break down a little bit more. One of them, verse 15, this translation. Wisdom of this kind does not come down from above. It is earthly, the north earth, that's where I got earthly with. Earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. Now, unspiritual. I don't think I put that up here.
No, we
Demonic. Okay.
devilish.
Okay, unspiritual. I got to break this down because this is kind of interesting. It's a term in Greek that's kind of hard to translate. But the term translated as unspiritual, we might be able to anglicize it another way. The term in Greek is psychikos. Psychikos. You can put an I here. A person who's unspiritual is a psychikos. This is a term that actually St. Paul uses as well to condemn. He's a psycho. Okay? If we want to anglicize it. The esteem. St. Paul uses this term for people in the Corinthian community who speaking in tongues, but the speaking in tongues doesn't mean anything. And they that are acclaimed as spiritual, but they're really not spiritual. He calls them psychikos. A breakdown of the term pure, hagina, in Greek, hagine, hagina, can mean innocent, straightforward, and right. You have gentle and compliant. We have two words here. They're trying to get all the meaning out of one Greek word. Epi-e-te-ke-se. Epi. I gotta make sure I get it right for you. Sure.
Yes, right.
No, not take your pick. F-E-A-E-K-C. Well, that term can be gentle or compliant, or open to reason, or listens with an open mind, or docile. Again, if we think of Pope Francis, it certainly fits what's coming across as many of his qualities. Wisdom from above. A teacher, religious teacher who has such wisdom, it's a gift of the Spirit. It promotes peace and harmony. These are genuine characteristics of a genuine teacher who has the wisdom from above. Distinctive characteristic of a true wise man is also a mark of a true disciple. And above all, how does he end up? He started out, let me show you his works by a good life in the humility that comes from wisdom. And it is someone, above all, who has humility as characteristic part of their life. He concludes this, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace for those who cultivate peace. Verse 18. I wonder what other translations have. Verse 18. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness, raise a harvest of justice. Okay? And so, again, I don't know about you, but the application, thinking of it as applying to our Holy Father, seems to be, Pope Francis seems to certainly be appropriate for this day and age. I don't know, maybe it's because yesterday was the anniversary of his first election. Yes.
Is there any contrast to the Old Testament? Solomon was known as the wisest king and asked wisdom from God. Does Solomon fit this teaching in any way?
Maybe from the beginning, certainly his request when he was a young man of God, requesting only to be wise and have good judgment on the people. But later on in his life, his actions proved to be just the opposite. 300 wives, 700 concubines, all to attracts the Queen of Sheba. Yeah. I'll tell your wife the next time. Yeah, you better put the bit back in. Yes. Tom?
Okay, here it is, Psalm 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and those who practice it have good understanding. His praise endures forever. And Psalm Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and his instruction. And King David in Psalm 51 and Psalm 32, what did he do? He repented to the Lord. In Psalm 51 and 32.
He certainly had a lot to repent of, too. Yeah. He certainly did. Okay, so that takes us to the end of chapter 3. We have 20 minutes left. So, I hope you find this kind of interesting. Thoughtful?
Question, because goes back to before about the unity. All right, if you're practicing the right side, how do you call a spade a spade?
That's what I was thinking, when it comes to compliance.
Okay, if you're, how do you call a spade a spade? What you have to look through is the false faces and the false screens that people put up by their words. Okay? Remember, the understanding is this small organ in the body reflects one's identity. Okay? It can also reflect a false identity. Okay? How then do you call a spade a spade? It's only with someone who has wisdom from above, has the humility to and peacefulness within himself and purity to be able to look through the false mask, the falsehood of people, okay, and to see what's really inside. Because many times people cover up all kinds of hurts, and over a period of time, if they have covered up enough hurts and so on, it creates sometimes patterns of the way they present themselves, they speak themselves, they articulate, from themselves. But it's really not their true self inside. That's why we have people called psychologists and psychiatrists that help break through those layers in a lot of people in order to help them get to what is their true self and what was the true hurt that created these false faces and so on. So the best way is to speak with humility, peacefulness, and so on. One of the things I often, it's something that was taught me actually by a layman, and I give as advice, spiritual advice to people, is particularly if, like with your spouses, there's misunderstanding, there's lack of patience, there's you love them deep down, but sometimes it's not very lovable around them, okay, because of the words that come out and so on. Usually the fault is not really listening and not really understanding. One is saying something, and the other is already preparing what their defense is. Healthy communication, rather than preparing your defense, is to stop, look at that person, and repeat word for word what they just said. I hear you say, and repeat back to them what you have heard. Is that what you mean? Think how many times do you wish that you could have had a second chance to go back and restate something? You empower your friend, you empower your spouse, you empower your loved one, rather than prepare a defense of speaking, say, I heard you say, is that what you mean? And repeat their words as closely as you can, word for word, back to them. It's a little bit of advice that, like I said, a layman who was a social worker gave to me on healthy communication technique. Yeah.
Emily Dickinson has a little piece in her poem. She said, some say a word is dead the day it's said. I say it just begins to live that day. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Sounds like something Bishop Warno would say.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you got it. Yeah.
What if you're really passionate about something? I don't have passion in that area. For instance,
What if you're really passionate about
yeah,
something?
like abortion.
For instance,
Abortion, and somebody else is pro-abortion. How do you not get angry? How do you keep speaking peaceably and not just be milquetoast?
okay, how can you, if someone, this is where this compliant comes
Yeah,
from.
I can't be compliant with what they're saying.
Okay, gentleness.
It's still-
But one of the things, one of the characteristics of this word, epi-a-k-se, is reasonableness, rationality, okay?
Marley's right.
Huh?
Marley's right. I've reasoned it.
Okay, your way is right because you have reasons for it. Their way is right because they have their reasons for it. Their reasons and your reasons are contra to one another, okay? Then you have to look through what are they really saying. What I said before, you have to look through the false face that they are putting up, the false logic
But they're
that they're
not being
putting.
false to themselves.
They're not being
They're
false
themselves.
to themselves, but maybe they are. Okay? Yeah.
So then how does anything get fixed?
How does anything get fixed? Only through prayer. There are certain things that only through prayer. Say, I will pray for you.
Oh, that's gonna make them happy.
It might make them happy.
I don't think so.
Or maybe it won't.
That's
But
being self-righteous if we do.
it might be taken that way. Yeah.
I think the key word for what she's talking about is in verse 13, and it's understanding. And when-
Understanding in verse
understanding,
13.
And if you have wisdom, you can understand the person that you're talking with has a certain understanding that they're supporting. And you need to know that and recognize that as a quality that person has. You know, I understand this is your stand, this is my stand. It's not going to, we're not going to solve the problem. Let us respect each other's understanding.
Even though you don't agree with it.
Yeah, what is it, why would you argue with someone just because, I mean, you can't do anything about whatever the situation anyway, so why argue with them about it?
Yeah.
So then where does the teacher?
Where does the teacher come in?
If you've got your righteous.
The teacher would-
Teachers in your.
The teaching will come in by example.
That's what it says.
The teaching will come in by example.
There's something out there that says, unnecessary use
That's the
words.
long game. You gotta play the long game. It's not, you're not gonna convince somebody right away to change because it's not gonna happen. So it's the long game. You have to play the long game.
It's more like a marathon than a sprint.
Yeah, that's right.
But when you're,
This marathon
when,
is long.
yeah, when you're face to face with some situations, it seems like you're up against it right here and now, and you have to do something right here and now.
Even St. Francis said unnecessary use words.
Yeah, when necessary, stop to think. Would you identify a wise man as someone that spews a lot of words or someone who is quiet? Would you say a wise person is someone who, when you go to them and you talk to them and you lay your heart out to them, has right away the solution for your problem? Or they stop and think? When have you in your life, for someone you care about and so on, who came to you and they something, shared something from their heart? Not that you are at fault with that, but they were seeking your insight and advice. You give it right off the top of your head? Or do you listen more? Do you focus more? You bring more understanding. Okay? They come to you because they have an experience, or they feel they empower you. They think of you as someone that can convey to them the kind of wise guidance that they need. Do you give it right off the top of your head, or do you listen even more intently? Do you focus even more? Okay? When speaking to a crowd, is the crowd really listening when they are jibber-jabbering and so on, or when they get real quiet? You see? See where I'm going with this? See the kind of disposition I'm talking about that would reflect someone trying to convey wisdom and understanding and guidance and helpfulness and so on. That which we would call wisdom from above. What would we want from God? What would we want from God? For all the crazy things that we do, spontaneous things that we do, things that we do that we know we shouldn't have done or thought and so on. What would we want from God? Wisdom from above. True wisdom, right? Okay. So, time's just about up. I have to go to the other parish, so I need a little extra time. Thank you very much for coming, everyone.
Dig it up.